The parts man types the number in, waits about 3 seconds, and reads 4 words off his screen. No longer available. Those 4 words took $22,000 off a boat that had passed survey in March and had a full tank of fuel in her that morning. The hull was sound. The engines ran. The thing that finished her weighed less than a bag of ice, and nobody has built one since 2006. Everybody who buys a used boat checks the same 4 things. Hours on the engines, moisture in the transom, blisters on the bottom, what the survey says. Not one of them tells you whether the boat can still be fixed 5 years from now, and that is the thing that decides what you get back when you sell her. A boat almost never dies of wear. It dies when one specific piece of it stops existing. No drawing, no mold, no casting. Nobody left who was ever allowed to buy that part. The hull outlives the part. The engine outlives the part. The owner doesn't. The man on the new boat lot has an answer ready, and it's a good one, which is what makes it worth watching. He'll tell you the old boat is a parts problem and the new one is covered. Covered is a length of time. 5 years, 7, 10, if he's generous with the financing. After that, his parts counter and your parts counter are the same phone call. 7 boats and the parts that ended them, from irritating up to flat terminal. One thing here will start an argument in the comments, so I'll say it now. Most of the dead brand boats on this list are fine. The ones you genuinely cannot fix were built by companies still in business today, still at the show every January. One question sorts every boat ever built, and it takes 8 seconds to ask. Was this part ever sold to anybody except the boat builder? If it was, a Raker filter, a Sherwood pump, a Borg-Warner gear, a Ford industrial block, a piece of flat-tempered glass, somebody is still stamping it out because 30 other industries buy the same thing. If it was tooled for one brand and one model run, it exists until the tooling wears out or an accountant kills the line. After that, it exists only on other people's dead boats. The industry supports a proprietary part for about a decade after the last one leaves the line, often less. TaylorMade builds most of the curved glass in American boats, and owners have been told the production window on a windshield runs about 7 years. One fellow with a 2015 model missed it by 5 months. Sea Ray's parts database goes back 10 years, then stops. 10 years of support on a hull built to last 40. That gap is where the back rows of the boatyard come from. We start at number 7, and it's a boat nobody thinks of as a parts problem. The Sea Ray Sundancers of the late 90s and early 2000s, and every Chaparral, Regal, and Cobalt built alongside them. A 1998 290 Sundancer is a low $20,000 boat right now. There's one listed at $21,995 with twin 220 horsepower Merc Center. Big brand. Still building. Dealer in every state. Then somebody backs into a piling and the front pane goes. That curved glass is not something you order. It was tempered over a mold and the mold is long gone. One owner sent a frame and 2 panes off to be straightened and re-glazed. The number came back at $9,500 before freight and the frame had to travel 4 times. That's on a boat worth $22,000. The forums are full of hulls the insurer wrote off entirely over glass because the adjuster ran the same arithmetic you just did. There is a supply, salvage yards, and other people's dead Sundancers. $9,500 for a window. Number 6 is worse because the missing part is the one that makes the boat move. Everything built from 1986 through 1993 with an OMC Cobra or King Cobra on the transom. 4 Winds Vistas, Chris Crafts, Wellcrafts, Chaparrals, thousands of honest 25 to 28 footers. Here's the part most people get wrong, and I want to be fair about it. OMC went bankrupt in December of 2000. But the drives built from 1994 through 1998 came out of a joint venture with Volvo Penta. Same castings, same part numbers, different tag on the housing. Anybody who can service a Volvo SX can service one. Those boats are fine. It's the earlier ones. The dog clutch Cobra and the cone clutch King Cobra are their own animal, and the King Cobra was never common. The fix exists, and the fix tells you everything. Volvo sells a conversion, a transom shield kit, a raw water pump kit. The Cobra carried its pump inside the drive, a drive and a prop. A remanufactured SX runs about $6,500 on exchange. Add the rest and a yard's labor and you're $8,000 to $11,000 in. A running 1995 Vista 258 sells around $7,000. One with a dead engine is listed at $3,995. A $7,000 boat with an $8,000 hole in the back of it. Number 5, you can't see from the dock at all. The boat's built between about 2005 and 2012 around a North Star or Navman Helm. Brunswick owned those brands and sold them to Navico in 2007. Inside 2 years, the 6000 series was discontinued outright, and the Simrad unit that inherited some of its features will not talk to any of it. Owners calling about a sun cover for a 2-year-old display were told hit or miss. Parts for the older units gone. That's a nuisance if the plotter is only a plotter. On those boats it wasn't. It was the display for engine data, fuel flow, often the tank senders and the autopilot, all speaking a network, one company owned and one company retired. You don't replace a screen on that boat. You rewire a helm. You can check that in 2 minutes standing in the cockpit if you know to check it, and almost nobody does because it never shows up on a survey. The Boat's Worth Buying playbook has the walkthrough. What to read off a helm before you fall in love with the boat, which systems are catalog parts and which ones are somebody's private property, and the questions to put to a parts counter before you make an offer. A few dollars against the $15,000 or $20,000 a dead system takes off a $30,000 boat. Links in the description, and there's a QR code on screen if you'd rather scan it. Your call either way. A helm that works perfectly and can never be repaired. Number 4 moves the problem out of the dash and into the lazarette. 80s and early 90s motor yachts and aft cabin cruisers. Hatteras 43 double cabins, Californian 45s. And the boat is not the problem here. Hatteras still runs a genuine parts operation for hulls it laid up half a century ago, which is more than most builders do for a boat sold last decade. It's the generator. Owners have been saying the same thing for 15 years about the older Onan sets. Parts support cut off while thousands of units were still running. One man spent $250 engineering a workaround for a failed mechanical fuel pump on a set with 2,500 hours on it. On a tractor, that pump is a $40 part off the shelf. When the workarounds run out, you're buying a generator. One owner swapped an 8 kilowatt for a 9, installed, and it came to $23,000. Do most of it yourself and you're still near 14. $23,000 for a machine whose entire job is keeping the ice from melting. If any of that has already saved you a phone call, hit the like button. That's what puts this in front of the next fellow standing on a $90,000 boat he hasn't looked in the back of yet. Subscribe if you want the rest. New one every week. Number 3 is the boat everybody expects at the top of a list like this. And it doesn't belong on the list at all. The Taiwan trawlers, CHB 34s, the Tianhua hulls, Marine Trader 34s, built 40 and 50 years ago by yards that shut their doors before some of you were born. Textbook Orphaned. Ask around any dock and you'll hear it. No factory, no support, don't touch it. Now look at what's bolted into the boat. The engine is a Ford Lehman 120, model 2715E, a Ford industrial block that started life hauling people around in buses. There's an outfit in Virginia that has done nothing but Lehman parts for decades and will talk you through a problem with no sale in it. Some of what you need is at a tractor dealer. One owner went hunting a pressure cap and was told to try any auto parts store. The Ford 2700 block is still in production in Turkey. The Perkins 4-236S in the same hulls are just as easy. I'll give you the wart because there is one. A minority of the Super 135 Lehmans came with a Peugeot block, and parts for those come from France if they come at all. Know which you're looking at before you shake hands. The teak decks and window frames will cost you real money too. But a clean CHB 34 is a $41,000 boat you can keep running out of a catalog for the rest of your life. That's not an Orphan. That's a boat nobody ever had to adopt. Number 2 is a line drawn through the late 90s, and most buyers have no idea it's there. 2 express cruisers 4 model years apart. A Rinker, a Chaparral, a Wellcraft, doesn't matter which. Both have a 5.7-liter small block Chevrolet under the hatch. Same block, same bore, same bearings. The earlier one has a carburetor and a distributor. The later one has fuel injection, an ignition module, and an engine computer. The carbureted one you rebuild forever. Every piece of it is shared with a truck, a tractor, or a generator, and a carb kit, and a set of points costs less than a night in a motel. The injected one is a different proposition. The mechanical side is fine. It always is. It's the box. Much of the fuel injection hardware from those late 90s packages is simply not available anymore, while the carbureted engine 3 slips down comes back with parts off a shelf. You end up with an engine you can machine, hone, and reassemble to factory spec, and then cannot start. 4 model years. That's the whole distance between a boat you can keep and a boat you can only use up. Number 1 is the one people fight me hardest on. The Pod Drive Express Cruisers and Coupes. 2006 through the middle of the last decade. A 2008 Cruiser's Yachts 420 with twin IPS 500s is a $139,000 boat today. Handsome thing. Docks sideways with a thumb. Volvo Penta launched electronic vessel control in 2003 and put IPS behind it. Volvo says it plainly on its own website. Electronic development moved fast enough that the older components have been replaced or discontinued, and the answer they offer is converting the boat's whole control system to the current one. New control units, new harness, new cabling, a rewire, the software, and on some boats, transmission work. Dealer installation only. Price per boat, no number you can look up. Volvo puts the count of boats that would benefit at up to 50,000. Meanwhile, an owner with a 2007 IPS 500 opens his burned-out Helm display and finds the ribbon cable soldered straight to the board. No screen to order, no repair short of a specialist. Read that again. The manufacturer's own recommended repair for a 19-year-old boat is to replace the boat's nervous system. On the older boats, a repair has a part number. On this one, it has a quote. What I'd buy with my own money. First, a CHB 34 or any Lehman-powered trawler in that family, right around $40,000, because I can keep her alive out of a catalog and a phone book. And I'd never be at the mercy of a man in an office deciding whether my model year is still worth stocking. Second, a mid-90s carbureted express cruiser with an Alpha or a Bravo behind it and flat glass in the windshield frame. Not fast, not pretty, every piece of her available Tuesday. And if I wanted something modern, I'd buy the newest hull I could afford with the dumbest systems in it. Pay for the boat, never pay for the software. Before the deposit check, read one part number off that boat, off the drive, off the helm, off the generator, and hand it to somebody whose job is finding parts. What comes back in 10 seconds tells you more than the survey does. Get it wrong and you own a boat you can't fix. Get it right and you own one for 20 years. Far more holes pass that test than the doc will admit.